Well, hello, hello, hello. Man, I got some bad lighting tonight. The light I normally use is not in here right now. I don't like that. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Can everybody hear me okay? South Dakota, what's going on? Brian, I actually just ate a couple of enchiladas. My wife and son went out tonight, and I was here working, and they brought me home a couple of enchiladas. So appreciate the offer on the tacos, but I'm good. I've got to do something about this light, y'all. I'm sorry. That's better. Charlie Hamilton, why are you text messaging me right now in the middle of my video? You know what time I start. Alright, happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everybody had a good day. It's been a long week. Getting stuff done, getting stuff out. Just wanted to kind of do another live show here. It's been a while since I've been on. It's been 3 or 4 weeks probably, but I want to come on here and dang, I got questions already. Anyway, I want to go over some stuff tonight. You know, we get a lot of comments about, calls about. I get a lot of questions about cam timing, ignition timing. A lot of people, you know, they just don't know. At one time I didn't know. At one time, you know, the best people in the business didn't know. You know, the cam timing and ignition timing is two different things. When people talk about timing, a lot of people don't realize that there's two different things in the engine that you have to time, and they work together, and they kind of don't. They kind of, you know, their own thing, but then again, you can make power off of making them work together. But I'm just going to kind of go over a few things on how to check this stuff. I know I've already done a video years ago on, actually my first video I done was on timing the flywheel. It was, you know, how to install the flywheel, how to time it, how to lap it, how to torque it down, how to remove it. That video is still up. In fact, I shared it again the other day just because it's been like 3 years, I think, since I've done it. But I'm going to kind of go over some of that stuff tonight about ignition timing, then I'm going to get into cam timing. Kind of go over how to check for center line and how to check duration. I get a lot of calls about, you know, my tech guy at the track has never checked duration. I don't think he knows how, or I'm building engines, I don't know how to check duration, I don't know how to find center line. I'm going to kind of show you tonight the way I do it. It's the checking the center line stuff. There's a couple different ways to do it. I'm going to show you my way. You get the same result in the end. I just think my way's a little quicker, and it's never let me down. So since I've already got the engine set up with the degree wheel on it, I'll kind of go back over that and show y'all how to set it up. But I'm just going to kind of go through a step process, assuming that we've already got our short block built and we're putting the flywheel on it and we're going to time it. I time the flywheel with the head off. A lot of people put the head on and use a piston stop. That's fine. I've always done it with the head off in a step, just like we got here. This is our 6689. This is our new Speedway flywheel. For those of y'all that never seen it, here it is. This is our newest flywheel that we got out now for the AKRA, NKA style engines. Anyway, that's a whole nother video, but I've mentioned it a few times, and there is one. But I get the coil on. I'll put the flywheel on with a stock key in every engine, just to kind of see, you know, where the key indication is in the crankshaft. Because just because these flywheels, you know, that we make them and they're very precise, the crankshaft is usually where you find the problem is. I've seen some of these cranks, the keyway. Darn socket still on. I just noticed that. The socket didn't come off. The keyway and the crankshaft, where the flywheel key goes, sometimes can be off. I've seen them as off as 3 degrees, you know, plus and minus, advanced or retarded. And that's important to know, because these people, you know, when you buy these flywheels, we advertise them at 32 degrees, and that's where they are. We got about a plus or minus 1 degree, you know, of error that, you know, could possibly be with us. You know, we're not perfect either. But the biggest place you're gonna have a problem is with the crankshaft. And I tell people, you know, just because it says 32 degrees on, that might not be where it is on your engine, because the keyway and the crankshaft might be off a little bit. So always check it with a degree wheel. It's simple to do. The previous video I got shows you. I'll run over it real quick again right here. You're going to put the flywheel on. I usually just hit it with the impact gun, you know, with the stock key in it. Just a simple little impact gun. Put the coil on it. Go ahead and set my gap. Usually I start my gaps on, you know, AKRAs around 65 thousandths. We'll just say it's 60 thousandths tonight. And a way that you can, you know, set your coil gap very simply, as I showed in my other video, is we're going to pretend like this is a feeler gauge. We're going to pretend this is a 50 thousandths feeler gauge. Jack the coil all the way up, tighten it down. Rotate the flywheel till the magnet is underneath the coil. Put your, I don't know what that says. Put your 50, 60, 70 thousandths, whatever feeler gauge underneath it. Loosen the bolts, and the magnet will pull the coil down and hold it tight for you. Then you just snug it up. Once you get that tight, the flywheel is, you know, on there. You got your coil down, and you got it the gap set. You're gonna want to put some type of indicator on top of the piston. You know, a lot of people arguing about this. That's not, you know, you can't use an indicator on a piston because you got piston rock and all. But using the dial indicator bracket that comes in the kits that we sell, this hole right here, if you drill it out to 5/16, one of your head bolts will fit right in it. All right, and then you'll get, you know, a very small OD 5/16 washer. You don't want like a big fender washer. You want as small as you can get, just in case, you know, you have any piston pop up, like with modified engines, or if you're building a cheater AKRA engine. I always use the top left bolt hole, and the reason I say do it like this is because you can take this indicator and line it up directly over the very center part of the piston, where a rock is going to be its absolute minimum. Just look down through the hole and line it up directly over the top of the piston. Then that's where your indicator goes. You want your indicator right dead smack in the center of the piston for the least amount of rock. Get your degree wheel. This degree wheel I use, I believe we buy them from Dino cams. It's made for a 3/4 shaft. It's got a lock nut on it. It goes over the keyway, like where the clutch goes. Lock it in. Great degree wheel. I've used this one for several years. Get you an old clothes hanger out your closet. Any bolt up here, make you a little indicator to go up there so that it will point to the numbers that you need. Alright, I'm just going through this real quick. My other video explains this a whole lot better. Get everything tightened down, get your pointer up there. Don't matter where it's pointing, because you can move it around and set everything where you need it. Alright, once you get all that locked in, you got to find top dead center on your piston. You know, what I do is, like I say, it's in the center of the piston. I'll rock it back and forth several times to get everything, you know, because sometimes if you're using an older indicator like I do, the Sentimental thing, I've used this thing for many years. Find your top dead zero. And once you find that, most of these degree wheels has a nut right here that you can tighten and loosen and set it on 0, which you see mine's already set on 0. I've done it all before we got started here. But set that on 0. That's going to give you your top dead 0 so that you can set your timing. Once you do that, you're going to rotate the engine backwards, because the coil at top dead center, which is right there, is just off the magnet just a little bit. As y'all can see, the magnet is right here. Alright, and on the ARC flywheels, our flywheels, it's very simple to find the firing point on the magnet. As y'all know, our flywheels, there's two lines here. The magnet is in between these two lines. And you're going to want the first line as the engine rotates. You know, the engine rotates this way. So the first line, it'll have gray putty in it. There's that one. I painted this one yellow so you can see it better. The firing point for this flywheel, the 6619s, the 25s, the 26s, the 6602s, the 6689, 96s, any of the flywheels that go on the Hondas, the Clones, the Predators, the Ducars, all of them, they're going to fire in the same place. As that leading edge of the magnet, as it rotates, is lined up with the right-hand edge of the coil. That's where it fires. You put a timing light on it, shine it to it, that's where it's going to fire at. Alright, so we're on that mark right there. We were zeroed out. And this flywheel should be at 32 degrees. Dead on. I don't know if y'all can see. Yeah. Anyway. Alright, we're dead on 32 degrees. Alright, that's just a simple way to show you that the stock key and the stock flywheel gives you the 32 degrees that our flywheels are advanced to. This crankshaft is straight up. It's good. Like I say, I've seen some as much as 2. I've seen very few, but most of them's about 1 to 2 degrees advanced or retarded. Of course, advanced means more timing, and retarded means not as much timing. Which, you know, retarded would be, 2 degrees less would be 30 degrees. And if you get this flywheel and you expect it to be 32 degrees, and your crankshaft is off a little bit, let's say it's off 2 degrees advanced, which means when you put it on with a stock key and you don't check it, it's actually at 34. And you're going to say, okay, well, I want 36 degrees timing, so I'm going to throw a 4-degree key in at 32 plus 4 is 36. So if it's set at 36 because the keyway and the crankshaft's off a little bit, you're going to be at 40 degrees. That's a little too much for, most of the AKRA, NKA, even mild modified, any gasoline engine. That's a little too much. Now, some of the restrictor plate engines, like the reds and the greens, we'll run 38, 39 degrees timing. There's a lot of stuff we do with the carburetors to be able to run that kind of timing. You hear people all the time saying, I'm running, 37, 38, 39. There's certain things you have to do to the carburetors to be able to run that type of timing with the jetting and the air passage and all that we do. Typically, AKRA engines, with U-build, stuff that you're doing on your own and this, that, and the other, you're going to be somewhere between 32 and possibly 36 degrees. I tell folks all the time, 34, 36 is fine. That's where most of my engines are. They're around 34 to 36 depending on what I'm doing. The plate engines, typically I go a little higher because of what we do to the carburetors. But just a quick rundown on setting your degree wheel up with the dial indicator. Like I say, drill this little hole here out. It's already there, but it's too small on most of the brackets I've seen. Just drill it out to 5/16. Your head bolt to go through it. Get you a small washer in case you have any pop-up. It won't hit your bracket down here on the bottom. Center it up over the piston. Lock it down. Degree wheel. This is actually a throttle rod, off an engine. That I like using them because they're really thick. They're hard to bend, but once you get them bent and in shape, you can bump it and stuff like that, and it don't move a lot. Like a coat hanger is really thin. You get it bent around real easy, but like working on the engine, you might hit it and it might knock it off a little bit. The actual throttle shafts that go in the carburetor on the top plate, I like using those because they're really, really thick, and I bump into things a lot, so I have to have it so it stays put. Alright. Now once like I say, I'm not going to go into the lapping and all this kind of stuff tonight. That's what that first video is for. It's on YouTube. It's called ARC Billet Flywheel something. I don't forget the name to it, but it's on YouTube and it's on our Facebook page. Just type in ARC Billet Flywheel and it'll come up, and you'll see my pretty face when I was about 20 pounds heavier. And I go through everything you need to know, torquing, lapping, how to put the key in properly, how to remove it. But I will say that all of these flywheels, all the ARC non-adjustable and adjustable flywheels need to be torqued at 65 foot-pounds. Not inch-pounds, but foot-pounds. Except for like the 6602 and the 6600 ultralight flywheels. they need to be torqued on 54. So ultralight 54, everything else, you know, for the small blocks is 65 foot-pounds. Now once we get our timing right, you know, like I say, I always put a stock key in it to just check it real quick. If I'm on 32 or, you know, within a half a degree or so, that way I know I can just throw a 4-degree key in it. And I always recheck it, because sometimes the 4-degree keys or the 6-degree keys or 2-degree keys, they aren't exact where I want it. So I'll put a key in it when I use keys and recheck it. Then I torque it down if it's where I want it. And from there, we get on into cam timing. You know, like I said, I was going to run through the ignition stuff really quick because the cam timing takes a little longer to talk about. I leave the degree wheel on the engine. I don't move it. Take this off, and then we'll just put the head on, because you gotta check the cam timing off of the push rods. That's how I check it. Something else that me and a lot of people has debated over is, you know, do you check, you know, your cam timing, you know, off of, when you're checking your center lines, do you check it off of the push rods or you check it off the retainers? I've always checked it off the push rods because it's a little more accurate. There's a whole, now if it was, you know, if I was using roller rockers, shaft mounted roller rockers, the Hemi head, check them off the retainer, because you're not going to get a whole lot of movement out of that stuff. But these, you know, flimsy shaft mounted junks here, they move around a whole lot, and I just think that doing it off of the, straight off the cam is just more accurate. And it's a little quicker too. Now normally, I don't put a head on with this. I'll just run it down and I torque it. I torque my head bolts on my engines 220 inch-pounds on all the stock bolts. Side cover will be 200. Off topic, but thought you might need to know that. Alright, now for checking cam timing, the center lines, we're going to take this bolt out and put the bolt that comes with the kit in it. Just these two up here, the two wide ones, they're going to go right here. Now, I've already got my degree wheel set where I need it on top dead center, but I'm going to show you how to check this without taking the head off of it. You have to use what's called a piston stop. A lot of people, you know, use a piston stop, you know, for checking ignition time. Nothing wrong with it. I just prefer doing it my way. This is my video. I do it my way. A piston stop is something that, you know, it's got a fitting, which you see it's already in the head there, right where the spark plug goes. Actually, it's an old spark plug that's been, you know, the center of it's been drilled out and tapped, you know, to accept, you know, this adjuster here. And all it does, you just run it down into the little fitting, and it goes down and touches the piston and stops the piston. That's why it's called a piston stop. Duh. But you want to run it down. Typically, I'll roll the piston, roll the crankshaft back and forth a little bit until I feel the piston stop kind of bump it. Then I know I'm kind of close. All right, and I'll just kind of give it a little more turn in, then I'll lock mine's got a lock on it. I can actually, it's a lock nut on there that will lock it down and it won't turn. Now, in order to find top dead center like this, you have to, you know, once you get your piston stop in there, let me get it right here so we can see it. There we go. Alright, you see my pointer is on right here is top dead center. Top dead zero, whatever you want to call it. If you see it right there, it's on, looks like it's on 8 degrees from here. 0, and that's 10. So it's right on 8. Alright, you'll stop it there. And then what you'll do is roll it around the opposite way and see what number it lands on. And what you're trying to do is move the wheel or the pointer, whatever, until you get the same number on each side of the piston. I was on 8 that way, I'm on 8 this way. So we're on top dead center. If you run the piston stop down and it said, 17, you start on 17 and you roll the engine around the other way, and until you move the degree wheel until you get the same number on each side, whether it's 17.5, whether it's 13.5, whether it's 9, whatever. The number you start out with when you put the piston stop in, you're gonna have to move the wheel around some. Something that I've learned to do is, as I'm putting my piston stop in, when I barely feel it bumping the piston stop, I'll go ahead and zero out my degree wheel, because I'll be somewhere close to top dead center then. Then I run it on in a little more, lock it down, and start rotating back and forth. You'll feel it hit the piston stop right there. It's on 8. All right, now I roll the other direction. And it goes back to 8. That once you get the same number on each side, that means you're at top dead zero. And once you find that, lock down your degree wheel, which is this, the bolt right there, lock it down, recheck it, make sure you're still where you need to be, and then take your piston stop out. Because the valves are in the engine, it's going to be hard to turn with it in there. Now, first thing we're going to check for is checking cam center line, which is important on these AKRA, NKA engines. This is the type of stuff here, these center lines, that can make a really good engine not so good, or make a not so good engine better if it's done right. Because all the cam cards, if you notice, that come from Dino cams, and these are just standard push rods. Dino cams, precision cams, small engine cams, whoever you buy your camshafts from, have opening and closing numbers on it, and they also have centerline numbers. And the centerline number is something that the stockers go off of a whole lot, because that's timing that cam to open and close at the precise time. Because in the flathead days, we degreed cams by opening and closing the lash between the lifter and the valve. Because there was no push rods in them engines. It comes straight off the lifter up to the valve to the top of the engine. That's how we kind of degreed cams back then. Now, since we run zero lash, or in some cases preload the valves, it's kind of hard to degree a cam that way. So we check our center lines, and if the center lines aren't where they need to be, a lot of people have made tools to actually move the gear on the crankshaft. I don't like doing that, and I'm in a position to where, working at ARC, I can order different cams, at 2 degrees advanced, 2 degrees retard. So if my center lines aren't where I want them, I get a cam recut so that it works with where the crankshaft gear is. Not everybody's in that kind of position, so they have to move the gear, and that's something that's tedious, and if not done right, can actually harm the engine, because the gears on the crankshaft, they don't have a key in them. They're press fit and interference fit with heat, and you got to break that seal on it a little bit. You don't move it a lot, you just barely move it, to get your degree, whatever you want to do. But the center line, the way I check it, your standard dial indicator, most of them, these tips will screw off. Don't turn this. If it's too tight to do with your hands, get pliers and hold it and undo it. Because if you turn this, it can mess up the dial indicator. And don't drop it either, like I just did. Alright, now what that does, that opens up the dial indicator so that the push rod will fit in the end of it and stay straight. And we're going to check the intake side first. And all you do is you just put the dial indicator on top of the push rod, and then push the indicator down, just a little bit, so that it gets in there and gets locked in. Alright, I'm going to leave all this turn y'all's way so you can see it. And this is, as always, the opposite of the way I work, so I may fumble around a little bit. But once I get that on there, I'll rotate the engine around, to zero out my gauge. And don't worry about putting it on a number. It can be on whatever number you want it to be on right now, because we're going to zero it out at top lift, at full lift. All right? Your dial indicator's on there, your bracket's good and tight, nothing can move. I always double check it, because I have been known to leave these loose and my numbers be all over the place. I'm like, what the heck's going on? All right, make sure this is tight, everything's good and tight. All right, what I do is I rotate the engine around until the needle stops. It's at full lift. And once you find full lift, and I usually kind of wiggle, go back and forth on it till I find the absolute max lift, which is right there. All right. Once you find maximum lift, you zero your gauge out. All you do is just twist the top knob and the numbers roll around on it. All right. Once I zero it out, sometimes I'll wiggle it back and forth to make sure it's where it needs to be. Alright, we're zeroed out. Now, check center lines, you're checking at 50 thousandths on each side of the lobe. So what you do is you rotate the engine backwards, you pull the top of the flywheel to you until the gauge goes down to 50. So zero's up here, 50 will be straight down here at 6 o'clock. So you back it up to 50. And read your number on the degree wheel, which is, see, this degree wheel is kind of confusing at times because it's a double stack. You can go both ways with it, but you top dead center, every line is 10 degrees. All right, we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That is on 53. All right, take that 53 and write it down. All right, intake center. Alright, that's 53. Alright, now go back up to 0, which is full lift, and then rotate the engine forward as it rotates, the way it's supposed to rotate, back to 50. Read your degree wheel. Alright, top dead is right here. Alright, so we go around, we're at 90. That's 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 69, 169. All right. You take those two numbers that you got, the 53 and the 169, you add them together. Then you divide it by 2, and that gives you your center lines. So this is going to be... what, 111? This is off the top of my head, and I'm not using a calculator here. My phone is my calculator, and I'm using it to record with. No, that's 113 and 169. Carry to 2 times 6, 43. I've done these numbers enough to... I think it's 113 and a half. Somebody add them up for me. I feel like an idiot now because I'm so used to using the calculator that... Anyway, 153 plus 169 divided by 2. That's going to be your center line. And what you're looking for in AKRA, NKA style engines, depending on what cam you got, you're going to be somewhere in the area of 112 to 114 on your center line on your intake. Now, if your cam card calls for 113 and you're at 116, you're going to have to either get a cam ground to back the center line up, or you're going to have to get another cam ground to get that center line changed, which is what I do. I'll have cams, that I have, 2 and 4, and most time it's 2 or less. There's not. I've only seen a few crankshafts that's really, really far out. I had one crankshaft out one time that was almost 10 degrees off, and it came from the factory that way. This is the thing right here that a lot of engines lack, is people aren't checking their center lines. I've built several engines and not checked a single center line on it, not checked duration, nothing. Just check lift and go. They made good power because I got lucky because the center lines fell in where the cam wanted them. But you get this engine, you get an engine and you the good cams out there now, you know, or the CL3, the CL4, the Eric Voss cam, the EV6. I've tried some of those here recently, and they're very good cams. You know, the Sox cam, and you got all kind of cams out there, and you buy 2 cams. The first engine you put it in, you don't check the center lines in it. The engine's great. Got good mid-range, good top end. It's exactly what you want. You build the next engine exactly the same, and it's off on top end, or it's don't have nothing on bottom end. Most time it's off on top end. It falls off a little early. The center lines aren't right. You got a little too much in it, or not enough, or you know, they're off. And it can be advanced and it can be retarded, and kind of show the same thing on the dyno. If the center lines aren't right, the engine is not going to run right. So you know, a lot of people blame the cam. Oh, the cam wasn't cut right. Well, the cam may not have been cut right, but you didn't check it. So you didn't know it was cut right. Is it the cam or is it the crankshaft? But anyway, if your center lines aren't where your cam card says it needs to be, which is most time between, you know, 112 and 114, you're going to have to turn the crank gear if you don't have options like me. And that's a whole other video in itself, that because I don't like doing it, but you know, I'll do one day to show y'all how it's done. And to move it, I mean, just the slightest little move, you got to put marks on it, you know, and the slightest move can be too much sometimes. You got to go back, then you got to come back. You know, it's a rigorous process a lot of times until you really get it down pat. You know, kind of like, you know, me timing an engine or something. I can sling this stuff together, and because I've done it so much, you know, and do a lot of things by eye that took me a long time to do. And once you learn how to move that gear, you'll know exactly how much that pop is and how much it moves. But that in a nutshell is, no, you way off there. That in a nutshell is center line. Like I say, set your dial indicator up, take the tip off of it. Yes, Mark, you can twist the cams. You know, that's something else that I used to do a lot of in the flathead days, was twist cams to get the center lines where I want it. But it's easier to get a hold of these contraptions that actually move the gear for most people. But checking your center lines, like I say, you know, set your bracket up, take your tip off of your dial indicator so it fits on the push rod. You know, rotate stuff and make sure everything is zeroed out. Find full lift on that lobe. Full lift. Rock it back and forth. Make sure that when you're at full lift, you know, rock it back and forth several times. Make sure just where it needs to be. Once it's at full lift, zero the gauge out. Ah, I was right, 111. I knew it was 111, 112 something. So the canvas in this engine is a BSP4. They typically like, you know, around the 111, 112 range, which is the BSP4 is kind of like the CL3. Now, you know, some of these newer cams, you know, I've seen some cams that the cam card calls for 114. I know some people that purposely set the center lines higher than that, just trying things. But anyway, I got off subject. Zero it out at full lift. Rotate back so that, you know, at 50 thousandths, which straight up 50 thousandths be at the bottom. Rotate backwards at 50 thousandths. Write that number down. Then rotate forward till it comes back to 50 thousand. You know, go back up to zero, back to 50 thousand. Write those two numbers down. Add them together. That is your center line. Now, like I say, me and a lot of engine builders have gone back and forth on this. They like to check it off the retainer, which, you know, works the valves and everything. That's fine. There's an extra step involved in that, but in the end, we come up with the same number. And this is just how my granddad showed me how to do it years ago, you know, on race car engines. And I've always done it this way on No Barry Young. I did not miss your call. I'm sorry I did not call you back today. That's my fault, 100%. I'm sorry. I say it in front of the world. I forgot to call Barry Young back. I'm sorry. But I will call you in the morning, I promise. But that's just the way my granddaddy showed me years ago. and several engine builders showed me that, and it's quicker, and it's more accurate to me because there's less movement, you know, with the rockers twisting and stuff like that. So you get the same result in the end, and it's a simple step. You know, find top lift, zero it, back 50, forward 50, write the numbers down, divide it, you're done. The exhaust is the same way. You know, you got different numbers on the exhaust. You know, a lot of those, you know, 106, 107, but just read your cam card and set the numbers to what the cam card, or get them as close as you can. If you're within a half a degree, if you're within 1 degree, you know, more than likely the engine's going to perform the way it needs to. But 2, 3 degrees, I've seen, you know, gears be 3, 4, 5 degrees off, you know, in some instances. Most of the time, these newer cranks, they're within 2. So, Portwood, won't you give me one more like there, buddy? But, same procedure on the exhaust side. You know, it's simple. You know, a lot of people don't like explaining center lines because that's kind of one of the secrets in these engines, is getting the center lines set where they need to be. And, you know, modifieds, I don't check them in modifieds as much as I probably need to, because you just got a whole lot more stuff you can work with there. But, you know, on these AKRA engines, NKA, these stock style engines, people are always asking, well, God, why do these stock engines, you know, that basically stock parts, you know, why are they costing the same amount as some of these modified engines do? This is why. You know, because we have to go through this procedure, you know, and get these center lines right. And if they're not right, we have to move the gear, we have to twist the cam, or we have to pay money to have extra cams sitting on the shelf that's already been moved, so that, okay, I'm 2 degrees off on my center line, so let's put this cam in it, boom, center lines are right up. That's why these engines cost so much, you know. And plus, you know, I'm going to show you now how to check duration. You know, we have to, all this stuff, there's rules on this stuff, and you have to make sure this stuff is right. So this takes time. It takes me more time to build this AKRA stocker, which this is just a stock short block I pulled off the shelf. It will be turned into one. But it takes me more time to build this engine without a ported head as it does for me to build, you know, an Outlaw or a good stock Imperium with a ported head, because you're just cutting and putting big stuff in it. Once you learn, you know, what kind of cam dynamics you like, as far as duration and lift and all, it's easier to do. These engines here, there's a lot of little tricks in it like this that I'm going to get phone calls tomorrow about. You shouldn't be showing how to do these center lines. Well, it's my job. They asked me to. It's what I get paid to do. Sorry. Now, to check duration. This is something I get a lot of calls on, because my tech guys never check duration. I've never seen them check duration. You know, no offense to any tech guys out there. You know, if you know how to check duration, good. I'm glad you do. There's a lot of them that do not. And a lot of them won't admit it, but a lot of them don't. There's a time that I didn't know how to check it. You know, everybody's got to learn somehow. Nobody's born knowing this. Nobody's, you know, as good as James Hunter was born knowing this kind of stuff and didn't have to learn it. I had to learn it, so that's why I'm here trying to teach other people how to learn it. But duration is just as simple to check as the center lines are. You just have to learn how to read a degree wheel. You know, it's best to get, you know, this one here. I can use it because it's, you know, it's got the double line numbers on it. You can check 2 things at once, rotate forward and back. Once you get used to how to read it, it's no big deal. But checking duration, you also check it off the push rods. You know, if you're at a racetrack and you got a tech guy that's saying, you know, I'm checking lift and duration, and he don't take the rocker arm off and hook up to straight to the push rod, he's not checking duration, or he's doing it some way that, you know, ain't supposed to be doing it. But duration, you know, there's rules in the stock class and duration. You know, you can't have but so much. In an AKRA, you can't have but so little. You know, NKA doesn't have a minus duration rule. They got a maximum duration rule, and this is important to check. You know, because these cams also, you know, these lower duration cams that we got, you know, is not supposed to be working like they do, but they work very, very well on these engines. And, you know, you need to know how to check your engine if you're building it, because there's going to be a tech guy one day that knows what he's doing. He's going to check your duration, and he's going to catch you. There's a lot of cheater cams out there, you know, not naming anything, anybody, or any cam, but there's a lot of cheater cams being used out there that will pass the lift check all day long, but are way big on duration, and they're going through tech barns every Saturday night. And this is a simple way, a simple procedure that needs to be done more, even on the local level. But anyway, you set everything up, you get your dial indicator. Let's get this moved back so we can see a little better. And you're going to zero this out. So roll it around till the lifter goes all the way down. I always like to double check, double tap. Okay. Oh no, it come off. That's what she said. Anyway, get everything zeroed out. And I'm going to move the needle so that the needle's straight up so it's easier to see. Again, I'm doing all this backwards than what I normally do it, so that's why I'm kind of fiddling around. We zero our gauge out. Rotate it around just to make sure that we is zeroed. Alright. Duration has 4 checks. I'll sell you cheater cams all day long. I don't say no to Mr. Benjamin. You want to buy a cheater cam from me, I'll sell it to you, son. I'm in the business of making money. But anyway, Wayne Powell, which I'll build your engine, so you ain't got no cheater cams in it. Duration has 4 checks. You got 2 checks at 50 thousandths lift and 2 checks at 200 thousandths lift. And both of them are important because, you know, you can be close on one and be off on another the way some of these cams are. You know, all these cams are ground fairly, you know, really precise. You know, cams today are a lot better than what they used to be, you know, because a lot of people, you know, were building them, had cam grinders in their garage and all, selling cams out of there, and, you know, you buying them from Dino and Small Engine and, you know, Precision. They exactly that. They precision ground cams, and everybody's got really good ground cams today. But to check it you check on the 50 thousandths first. So what you do, you zero the gauge out, and you rotate the engine until the gauge gets to 50 thousandths lift. Alright, so we're zeroed out, so we rotate the engine. And it opens up to 50 thousandths, right there. You read your number. Alright, as you see the pointers right there, that is on 1. Oh, that's a VSP4 cam, that's right. Alright, 50 thousandths. We're at 1. Alright, now you rotate the engine the way it turns, the way it normally rolls, or as it's running. So the top of the flywheel goes away from you. Alright, you roll it, you keep rolling it, and you're at max lift right there. You keep rolling until it comes back to the 50 thousandths before closing, which I just went too far. Alright, 50 thousandths before closing, and you write that number down, which that is top dead's down here at the very bottom. Alright, you see that's bottom dead. Top dead's down here, so that's 180 degrees. That's 190, that's 200, 10, 20, 221. You write that number down, 221. Now, to get your duration number, all you do is subtract those two numbers. I'm going to need some help on this one, y'all, so y'all get your calculators out. So 221 minus 1 is 220. Alright, that's your duration at 50 thousandths. Now, you've got to check duration at 200 thousandths. Exact same procedure, you just go to 200 instead of 50. So roll back around, we're on 0. So you rotate the engine till you get to 200 lift, which is almost full lift. All right? You know, every time it goes past 0, that's 100 thousandths. The dial indicator, guess somebody didn't tell you earlier, the dial indicator gauge that you don't know, every time it gets to a 0, that's 100 thousandths lift. So that means it's going to go past 0 and then back to 0, that's 200. That's 1. 200 thousandths is right there. All right. Top dead center is here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 69. All right, so at 200, we're at 69. Same thing, you rotate past until it comes back to 200. So you keep rotating the way the engine turns, and you're almost at full lift, so full lift's on like 222. So you're going to go just a little bit, and then it's going to come back to 200, and you stop right there. And we are on top dead, 180, 180, 70, 60, that is 53, 153. So you take 153 minus 69 is 82. 82, right? Come on, y'all. 169. 69 minus 153 is 82-ish. All right, that's your duration on the 200 check. All right, so I didn't mean you had 4 checks. I mean you got 4 points that you got to measure from. It's only 2 checks. You got to check at 50 thousandths lift, opening and closing, and you got to check at 200 lift, opening and closing. That's your duration on this cam. The duration at 50 thousandths is 220. The duration at the duration at 200 lift is 82. And if we go here to our handy little AKRA tech book, you will see that I have a whole lot of orange in here. We call that the gray areas. Yeah, that's what my tech book looks like. If you're smart, you go through here and you highlight this stuff and you find areas that, hey, I can work here, I can work there. Still got a few areas they need to clean up, don't they? But no, I just highlight stuff so when I get to the tech room, if there's any questions on it, there it is. You know, I highlight this stuff. Your camshaft requirements, right here, your intake duration, maximum. Hold on, where are we at? All right, intake duration, maximum is 219 degrees. So the cam that's in this engine technically is illegal because it's at 220. However, they give you a +2 and a -5. And these cam manufacturers, if you give them a +2, they're going to take that +2. That's their job. You know, if you've got, you know, on a race car or something, you've got a wheelbase minimum of 100 inches and they give you plus or minus an inch, you're going to set that wheelbase at 99 inches. That's what you got to do. Non-marked or not busted. It says maximum 219 at 50, plus or minus 2. So they give me +2, which means I could be 221, you know, or -5. So we're legal thanks to the +2, which is the cam manufacturer done its job and made it to the maximum duration. All right, now your 200 check is supposed to be 86, and we're 82, plus or minus 2 or 5. So we still fall within that plus or minus, so this cam is legal. Duration on the exhaust side is exactly the same way as that. You set it up 0, you rotate around to 50 lift, write your number down, keep rotating the same direction until it comes back to 50. If you go past it, it's okay to back up, but go, you know, like if you go past the 50 on your way back, oh, I got to back up. Go back around, you know, 20 or 30 thousandths and then come back to 50, because the cam and the crankshaft and the gears are slotted so that as it rotates, the cam can actually move in and out, so can the crankshaft. So you want that cam to have the gears push in the direction as it's supposed to turn, because if you turn it backwards, it can move the cam out a little bit and mess up your numbers. So if you go past the 50 or past the 200, it's fine. Back it up, but back it up, you know, 30 or 40 thousandths, and then come back the other direction, and that'll get you where you need to be. But that's how simple duration is. That simple right there. But the thing about it is, it takes a little time, and you know, with engines hot and stuff like that, you know, numbers can be a little more than what they need to be. You know, all these big state races, these national races, these, 10,000 win races, they gonna check that, brother. I'm sorry. They gonna check it. You know, your Saturday night local tracks, for 250 to win, they may not check it, but they need those surprise checks out every now and then. Just a random check. Check the third place guy. If some guy wins the same race every week, for past 4 or 5 weeks, throw a duration check on him. Don't tell nobody. I've seen tracks advertise what they're going to check. And it's a local track that does it. We're going to check carburetors and springs and yada this weekend. Okay, you just told me where I'm going to work at for this racetrack, and I'm going to work in it because that's what I get paid to do. It ain't going to be a gray area either. You give me that area, I'm going to work in it. But it helps for these tracks to get trust from the racers that they're not getting hoodooed, to throw duration checks out every now and then. I'm actually, probably shouldn't say this. I'm not going to say the track I'm doing it at, though, because I normally don't tech because I'm in the part selling business. But this is a special reason that I'm doing it, is to help someone out. But I'm teching next Saturday night at a track. Not going to tell you where. It's a good driving distance from me, but I will be teching. Don't be surprised if we pull a duration check, because there is a money race. Okay, so I'm hired to do a job, and I'm going to do it. But these tracks would get a lot more trust in people, and I think their numbers would pick up if they start, it's fine to check springs and carburetors. The next week, do lift and duration. Centerline, that's not a tech item. They don't care about center lines. That's not nowhere in the book. But duration is. And, it's just that simple. You hook it up, 50 thousandths, ride it, roll past 50 thousandths, 200 the same way, write the numbers down. Simple mathematics. This is third grade mathematics. If you can't do it, your cell phone has a calculator on it. If you don't have a cell phone, someone there does. Go to these retro stores and buy one of those old 80s calculator watch. It was back in the 80s. Simple to do, simple math. It takes a little time and, a little disassembly of the engine, but, it makes people trust the track that, if somebody might be fudging the rules a little bit, their springs might be a little heavy, but they know they're not going to have a Mod 2 cam in it, or some of these other cams that's out there, that have higher duration lobes on it. Higher duration, if you know how to work it, is going to make more power. It's just simple rules of physics. They'll turn the same RPMs, they'll pass the lift check, and, he passed the lift check, so he's legal. Well, let's throw a duration on, let's throw a degree wheel on and see where he's at there. That's when people start getting nervous. Not saying a lot of people's cheating, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's these Saturday nighters, they don't care what you run, but when it comes to money races, if there's any money on the line, I say more than, if it's more than $300 to win, man, throw a degree wheel on it and just check it. It don't take long. It's simple. If you don't know how, here's a video to show you. And, this will be shared, so it'll be out there, and it'll be on YouTube, be on Facebook. Hey, call your tech guy up and say, hey, man, this guy just put a video out on duration. Let's start checking it. This will show you how, and get these tracks in. Yeah, I mean, that's right, Freddie. Freddie says it right here. A good, honest tech guy increases racer turnout. And the bigger turnout means bigger purses. Look at Dogwood. Sometimes, not right this very minute, but, once the summer series gets going, Dogwood, man, will have classes up there as big as state races. And it's on a Saturday night for 80% payback because they got a good tech guy. It's only cheating if you get caught, but I'm just trying to help these tech guys out that don't know how to catch people. But Dogwood has really good turnouts up there on just normal Saturday night races because they got a good tech guy. There's some tracks in the Carolinas that, when they don't have money races, still have good turnouts because they know that the tech guy is, they know the tech guy is legit, Don't worry about what's in my red cup. Okay, this is my show. Don't worry about what's in my cup. But yeah. But anyway, I've rambled so much that I'm starting to lose my voice. Let me go back and look at some of these questions here. Holy smokes. Jesus. I got my phone turned the opposite way so it gives a little wider view. That's why things kind of look funny. It's hard for me to see the questions here. Is there any questions? Oh, hey, South Dakota. Is there any questions that anyone has on this about the procedure I done? They didn't understand it. You know, Hollywood. I got a joke on that I can't say here though. New York. But if there's any questions about the way I done it, you know, if I went over it too fast, if you need me to, you know, repeat something, or well, you can just watch the video again. Ohio. Streetman. What is up, my man? What's wrong with my question thing here? It just quit. Uh-oh. I've done something wrong. There it goes. I guess I wasn't touching it right. Yes. How much timing with nitrous? On these engines, I'd be more worried about the compression than I would be nitrous. Gasoline, I probably wouldn't go over, you know, 30, 32. Methanol probably wouldn't go over 34, but I wouldn't have a whole lot of compression on it. That's what nitrous does, is take up compression space. Florida. Portwood. UMB Motorsports. Yeah, Mark, it is a nice shirt, ain't it? Georgia Unlimited All-Stars. I know the guy that runs that series. Good guy. He works hard at it, too. The Georgia Unlimited All-Stars, the series will be at, speaking of Dogwood, we will be there this Saturday night at the Burris series up there. Mr. Kurt Burris and Mike Burris of Burris Tires was gracious enough to allow us to piggyback on his race. Of course, the UAS carts are open tire, but Mr. Kurt Burris himself, you know, as good a people as they are, they put up a contingency. Too much of a red cup. For any of the UAS guys that win, or that, you know, I think they said the best finisher. The best finisher on a set of Burris tires, a full set of Burris tires, gets a $100 gift certificate. Plus, you know, the race is a guaranteed $300 to win, and we're going to pay through 5, possibly 6 spots, depending on the turnout. But the Georgia UAS guys will be at Dogwood this weekend, and we're hoping the rain stays off, or stays away, because that's a long way for me to drive. Clarence Bailey, the rod bolts, guess who?
Hey, Daddy!
Are you dressed? Okay, I thought it was naked. Come here, buddy. Come here. Do that in the camera. Show everybody your teeth. Show. Look at the mouth on it, like a big old catfish, didn't he? You gonna say anything? Is that all you can say? Okay. Well, you done good. Let's tell everybody bye. Say it louder.
Bye!
That's loud enough. Okay.
What's this?
That is a golf club that you're probably fixing to hit me with.
Okay.
Go chase the cat with it.
Can I have it?
You can have it if you go chase the cat with it. I probably should have said that. But there he goes. Anyway, Clarence, the rod bolts for stock engines, like the NKA and stuff like that, I torqued them to 120 inch-pounds with oil on the threads. Now, our ARC, the billet rods, we torqued those to 170 inch-pounds with oil on the threads. Okay, people doing math. Good job, good job. Am I going to do a Briggs & Stratton twin cylinder? I've been wanting to build a twin and put on a cart. Stay tuned, I might do it. Yeah, James Hunter. The open engines, you check center lines and duration the exact same way, just with a lot more lift. especially the stuff you run. You got this lift, and all of us runs this. So, yeah, same way. Now everyone thinks they are engine builders. Yep, no problem. That's why I do this, man, for the DIYers. You know, there's a lot of people out there, you know, that, dang. So I need to get a powder job or something. Get me a powder lady. The DIYers out there, man, there's a lot of people that do their own stuff, you know, and you gotta respect them for doing it. You know, because there's a lot to learn with these things. There's a lot of information out there, but there's a lot of bad information out there too. That's why I'm always, you know, picking on and cutting up with people about these karting forums. You know, I'm not going to name any. There's a lot of bad information on them. A lot of halfway information, but there's also a lot of good information. There's a lot of people on these sites, you know, that really know what they're doing, but they, you know, that's not, you rarely see me on these sites because I go up there and comment on something, I get jumped on. You know, oh, I'm going to prove Jody wrong, you know, and that's great. So what if you do? What's it changing? You know, tomorrow morning I'm still the same person, you're still the same person. So why not, let's get on these forums and actually help people instead of trying to, you know, give a cheap shot or shoot somebody down, you know. But there's a lot of information out there, but you really got to watch, you know, where you get it from. Got several from Ohio tonight. Can I move my camera a little to the right? No. Not now anyway. I know you probably couldn't see the engine good. I'm sorry. That's just, I use an iPhone. I haven't upgraded my technology to something really nice yet, but I'm hoping to get there one day. You know, this is my phone. You know, I'm hoping that ARC will appreciate what I do for them enough to one day, you know, buy me a really nice HD camera and a powder lady, because I need one tonight because I'm tired and hot and sweaty. Been on the dyno all afternoon. How simple is it to get one of them shirts? Well, Mark McNutt, it was simple for me because, you know, I'm the one that gets them made. But I'm really thinking long and hard about doing some Georgia UAS t-shirts to sell. It'll have this logo on it, you know, and other stuff on it. I hate this phone. It's always backwards. Good looking logo on it. That's a Dalton Cook Rap Tech. You know, he does all my lettering and all the stickers that we got made. Dalton Cook. He's my man as far as decals. But I'll let you know about a shirt. That's a big question there. Yeah, Brian, you know, checking the center lines from the retainer, you know, is the way that most race car shops and bigger engine shops are going to tell you to do it, because most of them are using roller rockers. They're on a shaft, you know, and I've done some checking it off of the push rod versus checking it on the retainer on the same engine. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I get different numbers on the retainer because of the twist, you know. But now, since we got these new guides, you know, that's got the small hole guides and these square tip rockers, that stuff doesn't move around as much as it used to, which is one of the things that help us get the higher RPMs that we're turning. You know, with that kind of stuff, you know, it's probably not hurting checking off the retainer now like it was, you know, 2 or 3 years ago. But I've always liked checking it straight off the cam. I just feel that it's more accurate that way. Not saying that's the right way to do it, but also not saying that's the wrong way to do it. You know, you're still getting to the same goal. You can take a different street to get to the same store to buy beer at. You know, but, you know, as long as it all goes to the same place, it's fine. You know, I think my way has one step less, but it is what it is. You know. Very clear information. Woo, you need to get your ears checked. Alright, yeah, I'm off the clock. The gray area can be very broad in some people's shops. So, Mr. Mills, you gonna run Burris tires this weekend? That's good. Go after that money, son. That's why it's put up. Go after that money. I got the trophy sitting on my desk ready to be there. Alright. If the crank center line is off, will it affect the cam? The crank center line. Well, the crank center line, it has to do with the gear, so that's going to make the cam center line off. That's why we check it off the cam, because that's what we're more concerned with is, you know, the cam center line. Which all that effect is it goes back to the gear, you know. So I need to do a thing on showing y'all how to twist the gear on it. That'll be a good one to do. A GoFundMe. I see you're watching now, Charlie. Appreciate you texting me earlier. It come across my screen, you know. But glad you're watching. All right, this looks like not many more questions here. So everybody got that down? I mean, like I say, you can go back and watch it. I know I went through it fast because I'm trying to make these videos a little bit shorter, because I don't like staying up so late doing all those stuff I have to do. But like I say, you can go back and watch it again. You know, give me a call at the shop if there's something else you need to know about it, or you know, drop me a line, email, give me through Facebook. 50 people. That's a good idea, David. You know, I've had, you know, I think at one time we had 80-something, 90 people watching us at one time. If everybody donated $5, I could get me a new device. We're gonna make this work. I just got to get my lighting back in here. I took one of the pieces of light down up there to actually use in my trailer the other week because I'm such a cheapskate. You know, I got a very small trailer when I go to the track. It's just big enough for me, my cart, and a few sets of tires. And, you know, I use clip-up lights and stuff in there. I don't put no nice big lights in there to light everything up. I'm cheap, you know. So I took one of those lights I use up there to put in my trailer, and just thought about it when I come in here and turned this on that, crap, I forgot one of my lights. So, anyway. The 212cc Ducars, Dakota, those I've only had one Dakar and I forgot what the rings look like in it, but I know the Predators, I think it takes the same ring as the Predator. I know the 212 stuff that we sell, the BSP 212 stuff, those rings are technically low tension rings to begin with because they're thin rings and they're a very nice ring. Very, you know, got a nice chrome plate on the outside. They've been very, very true. You know, like when I'm lapping the outsides of them, you know, pre-wearing them before I put them in an engine, they've been very true. And I do believe the 212 Ducars, like the ones that Dino sells, takes the same ring, so it's technically a low tension ring. What I do with them on a new build, I'll add a little bit of clearance in the cylinder. I try to get it, you know, between 3.5 and 4, and I'll do a little bit of filing on the corrugated ring, the spring, you know, that goes around the 3-piece oil ring. I'll do some sanding, you know, on the flat side so that they go together a little bit, take a little bit of tension on that bottom ring. But other than that, the top ring and the middle ring are fairly low tension to begin with. But I don't know of anybody that's even working on rings for that. Deb Mitchell, you bought a yellow box stock, I'm assuming from us. I actually done a video, it's been several months ago, that I went over the entire you know, torque spec and clearancing specs. You know, there's a yellow sheet if you bought it from us that comes with the engine that has all the torque specs on it and clearance specs that we recommend, like, you know, oil clearancing the rod and oil clearancing the piston. Piston to head clearance, piston to valve clearance, all that stuff's in there. And I went over that sheet and explained it all and all the torque values on it. I believe it's called, you know, I don't know what my own video is called. That's sad. It's got something to do with torque specs and clearancing, though. You go to YouTube, it should be on there. It should be on the Facebook page. Yeah, there's those engines that come straight from China. They are right out the box, right off the boat, whatever you want to call it. Now, they do have, like this engine has the BSP4 cam in it. They put that cam in it in the factory in China. We don't touch anything on it. other than the carburetor that comes with the U-build kit. Now, you know, we do put those together, and they are ready to go. But, you know, the engine needs to have, you know, certain clearances done in it. The cylinder's too tight. The rod is too tight. You got to check certain torque specs. But that sheet that comes with it, you know, should explain all that. If not, you know, look for a video on YouTube or Facebook, or give me a call at the shop, and I'll let you know anything you need to know about the sheet or the torque specs. James Hunter, a.k.a. The Boone, said it's his bedtime. Ring positioning cause 212 not to rev high. No, it could cause it to maybe smoke if all the rings are lined up pretty much perfectly. First thing it's going to do is going to blow compression by it, then it's going to suck oil up through and cause it to smoke, but that's probably not going to be your reason it's not revving high. Probably not, you know. More than likely not. Alright, kind of run through that pretty quick tonight, didn't we? I think I covered everything. If y'all got confused on anything, just, you know, y'all should be used to that by now, getting confused on the stuff I say. But, you know, go back and watch the video. Any questions, any comments, whatever, just give me a call at the shop. You know, 1-800-521-3560. You can reach me email at jody@arcracing, at sales@arcracing, or customer service at arcracing. Or you can get me through the Facebook page here at ARC. Drop me a private message there. Any other questions y'all have on this, I'll be glad to answer it. And I think that's about it. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. Appreciate you spending your Thursday night with me, and hope to see some of y'all in Dogwood Saturday night to come support our UAS series and to come support the Burris Southeast series. That is a very good series they're putting on. Burris guys, you know, they work really hard. They got a really good tire. Very good company, very good people. You know, I know them personally. You know, I enjoy talking to Mr. Mike when we're at shows and stuff. That man's got just a world of knowledge in that head of his. And if y'all ever get a chance to meet him at a show or whatever, at one of the, they may come to some of the races, talk to them. They're very good people. We really appreciate them, you know, putting on this series here in the Southeast, because this is, you know, the Southeast up to the Ohio area is the hub of karting. There's, you know, a lot of karts, a lot of racers up in there, and we appreciate them doing that. And so we'll see y'all hopefully in Dogwood Saturday. I'll be there, you know, with the series, and should do another show hopefully. David Simpson says, great info, thanks. Like you actually gonna remember this, man. I appreciate you putting those links up. Mr. David, our warehouse guy, he works with us there. He's the one putting up all the links in the show tonight. Done a good job. I appreciate it, David. Thank you. I'll go buy you a taco tomorrow if you want one. But anyway, thank y'all for stopping by. I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. We'll get another topic and do this again. Thank y'all. See y'all later.